F, G, H, K, and then modifying through interlineation M. Do I have a motion to pass the agenda? Who wants it?
I actually have one more.
Oh, go ahead, Councilman.
In the regular city council meeting minutes from December 10th, there's a missing reference to the attendee and speaker, Terry Scanlon, and somewhat of a missing reference to the context of the conversation that we discussed 4 of the Elmore County surface water projects and the county's desire to partner on a municipal allocation of water from those projects. And we had discussed their engineering team and legal team meeting with Public Works, our Public Works. So if we could amend through interlineation, that would be wonderful.
That was December 10th?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilman Brennan.
If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to pass the consent agenda, pulling items F, G, H, and K, and amending through interlineation the bill run, I'm sorry, not the bill run, the minutes from December 10th, 2024 meeting, and item M as discussed on the record.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Alrighty. We're going to run down to new business, items removed for the consent agenda, and we'll start out with item F. Councilwoman Workla?
Yeah, so I didn't have anything specific, but I would like to hear the answer to the constituents question there that Mr. Dudley asked. If you guys could just explain that.
So and correct me if I'm wrong, with the money here. I think we budgeted 60, I don't have my budget, I think we budgeted 60,000, 65,000 for the driving range improvements. The quote came back at like 30, 35 and change. So Jake was requesting that if we could use the leftover funds to get the whole floor all redone. So it will be done. It's obviously the driving range is the artificial turf stuff. The artificial turf.
No, I understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just...
That was the reasoning. Sorry, I was like,
Right there.
Okay.
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan.
On that, also, I had a chance to talk to Jake. I had kind of the same question as to why the diverting the funds. And I was kind of predicting his answer, and he gave me the same answer without me leading into it. Is Jake in here by chance? No.
No.
The new restaurant concessionaire is waiting to go into place essentially because the floor is empty now. Now is the time to move stuff around, and I figured with a brand new concessionaire, we're trying to put a new face on the kitchen, the restaurant there. With it being relatively empty, that now would be the time to do the floor repair if it's in as the condition that it's in. And I definitely agree. Like we've spent some money for the range ball machine, and it's doing great, making us a lot of money. But that's the answer I was given. Kind of predicted it, and I don't have any objections to knocking it out while there's nothing there, so we're not interfering with the business later on.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Workla?
Yeah, and then when I toured the restaurant last year, the floor needs work. So I obviously, and then that is city-owned property, so we need to take care of our city property. So.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo?
As someone who has recently redone the floor in one of our city buildings, and not intending to pit golf course versus any department, but this, while it is an opportune time, the cost of this frustrates me a bit from the perspective of we have recently hired a facilities maintenance person. If a schmo like me can do epoxy flooring, I question if we can do this in-house for a much less cost than what has been bid here. Curious if that's ever been a point of discussion to have this done in-house. and explore what that cost would be.
I think he got another quote, and I'm looking over here. Didn't Jake get another quote, and it was exorbitantly higher? I think, and I wish Jake was here. I think they got a quote, and it goes up half the wall. Is not half the wall. At least was it like 2 feet up the wall or something? So it all is, you know, obviously the carpet's horrible over there, and they wanted it all uniform. It's anti-slip. It's anti all this. And like I said, the second quote was exorbitantly higher. And there's a lot of different undulations that they'll be able to fix that I've put in laminate flooring, and I'm not saying I do it all day every day, but I'm not a professional, so and this is a company this is their bread and butter, so I don't know.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
does their quote, the Concrete Cure LLC, does their quote include floating and leveling the floor in addition to the epoxy?
Mhm.
For comparison, we're in the few $1,000 range for 2 bathrooms to do this in-house. I'd be really interested if we could estimate doing this in-house and saving a few bucks. We've been forced to do this to other city departments that receive a massive amount of traffic. I'm kind of perplexed on the focus of the golf course in this sense. While I understand it's also the opportune time, it's still very fresh in my mind that the library bathrooms had to get done through very unconventional means and was not a focus, but the golf course restaurant can be in expenditure.
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
Although I am probably in favor of this, there are a couple concerns that the two of you have now raised that I'll address, which is the exclusions part of the contract. To name a few, it says it excludes removal of existing VCT or carpet. It excludes removal of coatings, glues, paint, floor leveler, oils, unless otherwise noted. Now, in each one of the sub bids, it does say that they're going to grind the concrete down, which I imagine removes all of that stuff. I'm definitely no expert in this. So it's kind of confusing when it says unless otherwise noted, but concrete may be ground wet to reduce the duration of the scope. The doors have to be removed from the frames. That's easy stuff for us to take care of. And then excludes expansion joint repair. Anyways, so I think there are some exclusions. Has Jake had an opportunity to tell you if he feels like this is truly an all-encompassing bid, or how much more of these exclusions will get billed for?
So I was on the assumption when I talked to the guy that was out there bidding it, everything was included, so.
I don't personally imagine they'll hit us with a lot extras at the end. They do a lot of business with the city, it sounds like. Is that right?
I think this is the company that, correct me if I'm wrong, did the pool?
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're kind of invested here a little bit. I can see both points too. I do feel like time is of the essence, and I don't want to delay a restaurant going in and not being functional for a bunch of extra studies and trying to. I can't cost benefit analysis that off the top of my head that quickly.
So council, then, could I then go out and procure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman Harjo, you're saying our new guy can do it, and ask him what it would really cost him in time and all that energy to do, and if the cost is the same or if more, is that something that we would allow this said company to still do? And then obviously if it comes back and it's relatively the same and it's one guy, where this company's gonna have a whole slew of people, and time is of the essence, would you still refer or go that direction? I guess that's my question to the council of this body. As Councilman Harjo.
I understand time is of the essence, and I will concede to consider this as it stands. I think my point is there's interesting focus being placed on this when we have facilities, including then the library, and several other city facilities that are very much in need of maintenance. Like I would like to see action plans for that going forward, where we have some plans for our maintenance guy, what he's capable of doing, what we need to go out for. I think this is a topic that we as a body and administration can stay on top of and be clear with each other on. I am frustrated that the library had to do what it had to do to make ends meet and make things work, and that the emphasis on this golf course and the expenditure at the golf course is being prioritized over every other facility of recent memory. And I'll stop there.
Hey Chris, you're moving forward. Can you get us, obviously you met with our maintenance guy and we've already done some great stuff, so you're moving forward. Can we shoot that to the council, let him know what he's working on, what our plans are? Okay, appreciate it.
And it's worth noting that we haven't even begun the process of buying tools and equipment, and there's a lot of things we're still, we've only been at the city employee for 5 days. There's a lot we're gonna have to put together before we can start doing forward projects. Just my 2 cents.
Mayor.
And I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, and I understand, because I have a lot of tools, and I had to acquire a lot of tools to get that project done. So I do understand. I appreciate you doing that. I was a vocal proponent of getting a maintenance guy, so I'm excited for what he's capable of.
He's already doing great things. I'll get a list for everybody. That's easy.
Thank you.
And Councilman, I appreciate that.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I'll make a motion on this one to approve the clubhouse floor renovation. I'm gonna put a contingency on it. The contingency will be that we reach out to Guy and ask if he would consider himself proficient by experience in doing floors like this. If the answer is no, we proceed. If the answer is yes, right, if he says, I'm proficient, I've done 5+ floors, grinding, all this stuff, then he's our guy. That would be my contingency. I don't know what experience he has. I wasn't part of the interview team or anything, so. And you can get that answer by tomorrow morning, I'm sure, so, probably, right?
Yep.
Second.
Okay. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? My only discussion is if Guy goes, I could probably do it, I just need to get all the stuff and it's gonna take me a month, 2 months, does that play a factor in it? Or, I'm gonna get you your answer.
Mayor, I just want him to I want him to have the confidence that because of experience.
Okay.
He's done it a bunch. If we need to go rent a grinder, like he's done 5-10 floors, we rent a grinder, he gets it done in 2 weeks, then good.
Yeah.
But do we even have a time frame on this to have it done by concrete cure? I didn't see a date on there. Did anybody else?
No, but I know that they had to wait, because we didn't have that meeting in, December.
What's the date of this?
Okay. There it is.
Mayor.
Councilman.
Also, it does say it's a 30-day estimate, which expired December 21st, 2024. So I would imagine they will offer the same price again, probably. But my motion will be for the price quoted.
It's been motioned and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
We're gonna run down to G, approve the memorandum, Councilwoman Workla.
Yeah,
I'm just
okay.
going off.
No, it's fine, you can read it. Yeah, so it's for to approve the memorandum of understanding for the 21st Century Community Learning Centers with School District number 193 in the City of Mountain Home, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign. We all know how I feel about MOUs that are making. And there's no dollar amount tied to this, but the big red flag that I had, not even reading through the thing, is why is the city signing on to this when to me the appropriate path should be the school district. I feel like we have clear and defined rules in government, and education needs to stay within the school district. So I personally just feel like we need to stay in our lane on this one. So why did we take this on in the past?
You can answer that one. Was this the one, Tiff, that was the,
Mayor, yes. The rec department has partnered with the school district regarding the 21st Century Community Grant for after-school programming. And there's no expense to the City of Mountain Home. At times, our rec staff go over and help, so the expense would be some in-kind, like our staff time to go over is that expense.
that's right.
And the grant, this funding, my understanding through Mr. Johnson, Jeff Johnson at the school district, is is closing here shortly between the next window of our meeting, and they actually apply for all of this. It's just our support into their application.
Yeah, because I just look on page 4 when it says funding. It says, in addition, organizations will provide any matching.
We don't actually need to fund dollars besides staff time, Councilman.
So I won't approve this. It has to be rewritten for me to approve
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
maybe Tiffany, for you, if you're the knowledgeable one on this, it does talk about like 3 different this is super vague to us. Hey,
I'm not the knowledgeable one here, so
is there somebody that can answer these questions?
go fire it away, I'll try.
It talks about there being 3 organizations, which is part of this MOU. It looks like on the front cover it talks about 2, but it says, and I could be totally misinterpreting it, but it says the lead agency or organization, the school partner, and the community partner. So are we the community partner?
Yes, I believe you are the community partner through your recreation department.
And can you tell like what kind of assistance the rec staff may give?
I know that when I was over in recreation, we provided an activity over in the building. After school, we did like recess type of stuff. So when they shifted through after school programming, we were dodgeball in the gymnasium. And we went over as staff members, coordinated that 45-minute activity, and that was the end of it.
Okay.
We may have took our dodgeballs with us, but we brought them back.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
to Councilwoman Workla, if I'm reading the section for the community partner, which starts at the very bottom of page 3, I don't see any kind of financial obligation in that section. Do you?
it. Yeah, it's on page 4 right here, which makes me nervous.
The funding part? If I clearly charge and grant the amount category salaries that will be provided to the non. Is it the,
It's too ambiguous.
is there anything we can cross off to get to yes, or like matching funds, rather scratch that out and keep in-kind contributions?
That'd be better, yeah, absolutely.
I trust the MOU particularly, as long as we are truly the community partner and not the lead agency or organization.
That's expected to match any amount, right?
Yeah. So I guess I'll leave it for further discussion if you want, but if under that funding part, if that's the roadblock, if we can just scratch off matching funding and keep in-kind contributions, I'd be okay with that.
So council, what do you want to do? How many pages is this?
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Council?
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
All right, just a second. Make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for the 21st Century Community Learning Centers with School District 193 and the City of Mountain Home With that exception I spoke about on page 4 under funding, we'll scratch off any matching funding and leave in-kind contributions only.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan.
Aye.
Councilman Hudrow. Councilman Workla.
Aye.
And let's run down to H. Councilwoman Workla.
Okay, so approve the city staff to proceed with the request for proposal process for our preliminary engineering study to relocate and extend a portion of the railroad. I have a couple questions here. I guess how much is this feasibility study gonna cost? I didn't see an amount on there.
Councilwoman Workla, it's to go out for the process to get someone
ask
else
for
to
it.
know.
Got it. So also, I feel like my motion's gonna be, I'll wait for more discussion, but to table this project indefinitely until we have our dispatch and our wastewater priorities figured out. We potentially have a wastewater proposed, not voted on, of a wastewater treatment facility that could potentially cost us over $100 million, correct, Chris? Right? That's coming down the line. We have no idea how much the dispatch service is going to cost, correct, Chief? I mean, right. So we have hundreds of millions of dollars coming down the line that we have to find funding for. And so I feel we have to be fiscally responsible and be very careful with the checkbook before we start taking on another project that will cost the city more money. I don't have a problem with it, but I'll let the others speak, but I am leaning towards making a motion to table this until we can figure out those two big priorities, financial issues right now.
Any other council?
Mayor,
Councilman Hardrow?
I think my primary concern is, can this wait until we hit budget season? And that ground is not going anywhere. We do have a lot on our plate at the moment. Understanding that there's some legwork to be done to get to a point where we understand what a budget for feasibility study would look like. I'm concerned that we as a city and city staff are overloaded with a lot of things to do as it sits, and curious your opinion on if this is the right time, if we should be waiting until we hit budget season to address this, or if it's something that city staff can handle midstream.
Well, I would say the city staff, they're amazing. They punch way above their weight class. They work hard every day. If they didn't think they could do it, we wouldn't have put the memo in. But that's just my personal opinion. This body, if it so chooses to wait, I understand Councilwoman Workla's definitely got something that we're going to have those hard discussions here, and when it does come to budget season. I think city staff will do whatever this body so moves to do. If you say, go ahead there and do good work, we're going to go ahead there and do good work. I have the utmost confidence in all the departments. I've been lucky enough to work with them, and so I'm going to leave it to this body, but if you were to ask me, I would say we could. And I think, like I said, this is just to go out for a dollar amount, and then it gives you, hey guys, at budget season, this is what we're going to look at here in the future. So if we're just looking at going out for this to see what a dollar amount is, it's no harm, no foul, and then it gives us ammunition or the data for budget season as well. So that's just my 2 cents. Councilman.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
if I can give my 2 cents. I think going out for the process, they're lengthy, and to get good receptive feedback from people in this industry, it's out in publication for weeks, if not months. And so that pushes us, by the time we get a good RFP drafted within staff time to get it out for proposal, it won't probably hit the streets until late February, and then we're into pushing April by advertisement to get something submitted to then have understanding on what the numbers would look like on the item. So I guess kind of meeting all the timelines and all the check boxes, and ultimately it always comes back to you guys at the end anyways. So, and I don't even know all the federal funding aid and what those deadlines would look like. So, just so you guys understand our timeline and stuff.
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
On that note, like I would agree that going out for a proposal doesn't cost us much, right? You get a little staff time to kind of draft up the paperwork, and then ultimately we'll get something back for almost free, and then we make the decision whether we go forward and spend that money or not. It is, boy, I'm kind of mixed on this one, because I know this ask is not going to cost us much. But I know we got a lot of other hurdles to go over first, probably, which are more important. May I ask, Chris, do you know how long engineering studies, when it's like a proposal for dollar amount, how long they're usually valid for?
It depends on the firm, first of all, but just like any other thing we're gonna get, it's gonna be good for 60 to 90 days. Is pretty typical.
Yeah. I don't know better, but I would probably agree with that. And with that timeline, I don't think there's any way we can fund that. You know, unless something major changes with the items Councilwoman Workla is working on or mentioning. I think we're a long ways away from being able to approve any study we get.
Mayor.
Councilwoman?
So with that, yeah, I would like to make a motion then to table this until after budget season to see where we stand with our numbers. May, I don't know. When do we,
Budgets.
when's the budget season? Is it May or June?
We start in March, don't we? Last year we did it because we did it for Councilman Brennan, just because he wanted to be a part of the budget. But usually we start the whole process in March.
Well, I was gonna say indefinitely, so here's where I'm trying to like bend a little bit by saying after budget season.
I would say October 25, once you have a new budget, right? Budget
Okay,
season.
after October 25.
That's, Mayor,
Councilman?
that's when you want to hold this till?
Correct.
Tiffany, is it safe to say, like, based on your timeline, that this is probably no less than a 6-month window from the point of approval of your request today before we get the RFPs back?
Yeah, like industry standards, the RFPs being out on the street are 6 to 8 weeks to get responses. Anything shorter than that, it's hard to get. Wouldn't you say, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything we've got, and the turnaround, they're still pushing the 8-week mark. Idaho Fire could probably vouch for us.
Yeah, so if you push it to October 2025, roughly the new fiscal year, then we're looking at maybe getting a response by February, March.
Okay, fine.
Which-
Government's slow. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. Which would hopefully give us enough time to then have the discussion in May for the next budget year. Is that hearing you right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second her motion.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Alrighty, here. We're gonna, oh, sorry, we got one more. We're gonna run down to item K and Councilman Harjo.
Yes, so we have a long findings of fact here. I wanted to make sure that we capture some of the language here and here where this was a obviously lengthy process. I want to make sure that it's stated for the record. I'm not sure I conveyed this enough in our actual agenda item for this when it occurred. Mountain Home City Code 9-6-3 was really the primary driver of the denial. Some of the language in that states, the applicant has failed to demonstrate sufficiently that abandoning this portion of the I-1 zone, subject to the annexation agreement in favor of 864 residential apartments, is in the best interest of the city, quote unquote, quote, harmonious and appropriate, quote, with the intended character of the zone and will not, quote, change the essential character of the same area. That to me, coupled with the rail industrial park overlay, the annexation agreement, that was a long hearing. This is a long packet, and I think it's worth stating on the record that as this is condensed to a brief statement, that those are some of the primary drivers of the denial.
With that, council, what do you want to do?
Mayor,
Councilman Hartro?
I'll make a motion to approve the findings of facts to deny the rezone request from I-1 to C4, zone with PUD entitled Bennett Ranch Station.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Right?
And that gets us to action item number 2, deliberation discussion on elect a new city council president. Council, what do you want to do?
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
Well, as the outgoing council president, it's been a pleasure to serve, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. It'll be my last opportunity for that. I would like to nominate, I guess through a motion, Councilman Harjo to take over as the next council president. I think Councilman Harjo has done a fantastic job in his drive to better the city. As we always say, we don't always agree on everything, and we all know that that's okay. But he is unrelentless in his desire to make things better. He puts in a ton of effort, a ton of time, and I'm honored to work with you, quite frankly. So I'll make a motion to elect you as the new council president.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. I'm going to go with Councilman Brennan first.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
And Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
I'll wait for a nay.
Thank you, Councilman
I
Brennan.
just want to say Councilmember Brennan failed as the president because when you were out of town, he could have made every Friday a holiday. Didn't do it.
It wouldn't apply to a contract attorney, come on.
Kegs on Monday, Small thing to ask.
HR sitting right beside you.
Ooh, I'm getting a dirty look from her.
All right, we're going to run down to new business, action item number 3, deliberation decision on Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation of finding of facts for conditional use permit for a new electrical substation with conditions. Council, what do you want to do?
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
I read through the sorry, wrong paperwork. Read through the packet, and it was a unanimous decision or unanimous recommendation by Planning and Zoning. It looked like there was 2 comments to the what would you call it, to the negative, that folks didn't want to see that happen. One of which dealt with, sorry, I'm trying to find it here. Let's go off my mind. One of them which dealt with a statement that there's no easement for access, and for that reasons we should deny it. Though the way I see it, that's not a city council issue. If there is or is not an easement, it is between the owners, the developers, and not business of the city, I suppose. I'll let those 2 parties hash that out, and I'll make a motion to approve Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation and finding of facts for a conditional use permit for a new electrical substation with conditions.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. This time I'll start with Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla? Aye. And Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Alrighty, we're gonna run down to, action item number 4, deliberation decision to amend City Code 1-6-4 to include a requirement of live stream video recording to publication of all regular special city meetings of the City Council and Planning and Zoning Commission. Council.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
The city council has been supplied with both an abstract that captures the idea of what the purpose of this proposal is. We're entering a modern era where live streaming, video archival, and that kind of thing are very commonplace, whether that's social media or platforms like we've already approved. With Civic Plus has some functionality that covers these kind of things. Technologically, we're capable of it in-house. I'd like to see that codified as an effort to expand transparency within the city. I do go on to state in the abstract especially that the idea for this is not to supplant the audio recording as the official public recording record, but in addition to, in an effort to expand transparency of the city. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer or hear any suggestions for modifications of the language.
Mayor.
Councilman Brennan?
Councilor Harjo, a couple questions. Your draft of the ordinance language, 164G subsection 2, would it be permissible by you if we changed the word board to council? It's about halfway through in that paragraph.
Yes, absolutely.
If the board does not maintain, if the council does not maintain. And then just a couple of comments. I was a little concerned early on, but I think without me even saying anything, you covered a lot of my concerns and noted them. And I want to make sure, I don't know if legal's had a chance to review this at all. The one sentence that's in here, paragraph 5, if I can read it, neither body is required to disrupt or reschedule a meeting if there is a technological failure of the meeting video recording. And then it goes on to a few exceptions and remedies. So legal, if we codify this into ordinance that says we're going to do our absolute best to video record and stream everything, if there's a glitch and it cuts out during any type of a hearing, that we won't be bound to start over and republicize a public hearing and do it again.
That was my concern as well. That if I were to create this wheel, I probably would have done it as a resolution, stating that it was the whereas it's the intent of the city council to conduct open and transparent meetings in a public forum, recognizing that the physical space in the public meetings is finite. Therefore, where feasible, where possible, where whatever, thou shalt put it on live stream and all that stuff, something to that effect. You could do it as an ordinance too, but certainly when you do it as an ordinance, you have to make sure that, you'll irritate your public pretty fast if we find out that the video is out for whatever reason and now we have to kick everybody out and it's almost like there's no quorum. That a meeting can't take place because of that. So the sentence 5 seems to do that. The only part that I guess I'm confused about a little bit is the subset B. If there's a failure which causes live streaming to not be available, audio only recordings shall be uploaded in the place of the video. Where is that audio being recorded to? I'm just saying that if you have technological failure, what next? What happens? Are you kicking everybody out and we do it again the next day? And so the answer to your question, Councilmember Brennan, is if that happens and there's no quorum, it's akin to there being no quorum, that you can't have a meeting without the live or audio or live streaming And if that's the case, similar to a lack of a quorum, you can't even do a motion to table to a date certain at that point, because there could be no meeting. And so the problem with that is if you have advertising that went out and you have posting of the property that went out, you'd have to redo it all. Hence why I was saying, if you do it more as a resolution, where you basically say all that same language, saying this is the policy of the city. However, if for whatever reason, it doesn't work, we'll have some sort of mechanism where the public can recapture it later, perhaps, but you don't have to kick everybody out in the room, and basically it's akin to being a lack of quorum. So that's my only, when I say, the state statutes require certain things. Can you add more to those state statutes that are not in direct conflict with those statutes? Of course, but be careful what you wish for, because then you'll find yourself in a situation where people are angry that you have to send them away or something. That's my only caveat to that. Did I answer your question?
Like 5 minutes ago. I'm just kidding.
All right, let me try to be, I'll be an engineer.
Just kidding.
Yes.
It works, okay. Councilman Harjo, with that, is there, do you think there's any need to change that subsection B that he mentioned about? Before you answer that, Tiffany, as long as technology is working, there's always an audio recording, is that right? And it's available for request.
Yes, sir.
We're not uploading that to the website, right? Okay.
The Civic Plus software will eventually have audio and video capability, and Councilman Harjo and I had a pretty lengthy discussion regarding that, in hopes that this could possibly wait until we got that to know what that feature seemed to be, in the upload of Civic Plus and how that worked, and land on the website for the public to view.
How far out are we on Civic Plus?
We're hoping that the second meeting in February, we actually test run Civic Plus within the meeting format.
What happens if the Civic Plus goes down?
So Civic Plus is going to be how we we track all our clerk software, like our agenda. It's going to be our agenda management software.
Usually we have a little recorder.
Yeah, usually it's audio, but we've had mic problem. I'll be honest, we've had technology problems all night this evening. I've been back and forth with Brandon on the buzzing noise. Every mics went off throughout the evening, and we didn't have the video streaming at the very beginning. And my question would be, who determines that there's technology failures? Is that me?
And also when? Like what happens if you discover it after the fact?
I guess that.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
So in this language here, I was pretty express in that there's no requirement to disrupt or reschedule a meeting. And in the abstract for this, the intent is that the video recording does not replace the audio recording that becomes the public record as we have in practice now. This is an additional service to the citizen in that sense. I don't foresee an instance where we have a technical difficulty such as today, where video recording is patchy, in and out, technological error. To me, when the intent here, and I'm perfectly open to adjusting the language to reflect this more accurately, but like I said, in the abstract, this is a starting point, not necessarily the answer as attached here. I'm open to changing some of the language to meet the need and fulfill any of those unforeseen circumstances, so we aren't having to create quorum issues and so on. This is in addition to the audio, and we've had instances where we've met off campus here at the police station. We've recorded on handheld audio recording devices to fulfill the need for the public record. I think we have opportunities to fulfill this as a need to the citizen. If the uploading of audio only recordings is the thing that stands between us and and doing this, maybe there's a concession to be made there. But at no point is it intended to be the public record that is statutorily required. This is for local transparency and to ensure that it takes place.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
Councilman Harjo, I'll go forward on this with you. My ask, if you wouldn't mind, based on the concession comment, just because subsection B is a little kind of fuzzy to me when it talks about audio only recording shall be uploaded in place of the video until full video capacity is restored. Maybe a little more clarity there. Would you be willing to move forward without subsection B?
Sure.
Okay.
Councilman, you want to keep that as an ordinance or a resolution?
Mayor.
Councilman.
Ordinance.
Okay. Council, what else you got? Council members?
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
I just want to say I'm excited about this. Thank you for bringing it to the table here.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I'll make the motion then to, let me make sure I get this right, amend City Ordinance 164, looks like adding subsection G to include a requirement of live stream video recording, publication for all regular and special meetings of the City Council and Planning and Zoning Commission, and changing the paperwork that we have in front of us through interlineation, deleting subsection 5B.
Second.
And changing the council.
And changing that board word to council in subsection 2.
Second.
The only, before you just put a pin in it real quick, this isn't in the typical format of how we do ordinances and amending an ordinance. And so, normally the way we would do this is I move to amend the 3 reading rule and read this ordinance by title only sort of scenario, as opposed to having this come back in 3 successive city council meetings. And then you would read it the title by title only, but there isn't a title only.
Won't we have to draft it into our format and bring it back at the
Right.
next?
And so, I understand the vote that's about to take place. All things being equal, I would rather follow the code strictly, which would just basically be saying, if you guys are in favor of this, we'll just bring it back in the proper format, and then waive the 3 reading rule, read it by title only, and then have it be.
Okay.
But I'm, it's okay, because who could be harmed by this, but by the strict letter of the law, if you do a motion to approve something, and then you're bringing it back later, and now you're reading it, waiving the 3 reading rule at that time, well, you've now passed an ordinance without either complying with the 3 reading rule or waiving it.
Perfect. Mayor,
Councilman Brennan?
I'll amend my motion to ask city staff to bring this language back to us for a formal vote that's within regulation.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. Councilman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
All right. Run down to item number 5, deliberation decision on freezing the unfilled police department lieutenant position and all other current and future department vacancies. Council.
Mayor,
Councilman Brennan.
that's mine. There's a lot of guns in this room here. I gotta be careful here. But for the record, which I told a few officers earlier today, is that I made this action item language as all-encompassing as I could so that the council has the ability to discuss as much of it as we want to. It is not in my intention to truly freeze every last little position that the department has unfilled now or in the future. I want to leave that as a discussion for the council if they felt so needed to do so. I'll share a few words here. Chief, I appreciate your words at the beginning here. The most important part to me was your last couple sentences that you addressed, which is the council's concerns about a dispatch agreement. And I know, well, for everybody else that may or may not know, the county commissioners sent us a notice to remove us from dispatch services, which has potential for drastic issues within the city financially. Maybe we contract with somebody else to provide that service. Maybe we get that contract back with the county in another fashion. Or maybe, worst case scenario, we start our own dispatch center. And do any of you who are here in opposition to this know how much a dispatch center will cost the city? Raise your hand, anybody? No, nobody? I don't either. I don't know, but the estimations that we've been given, I think, I don't want to misquote you, Chief, but I think you said over $1 million.
Potentially.
If we have to do that. I will speak for the council without their permission is we don't have $1 million to just start up a dispatch center. And it is my belief that we have to start somewhere to save some money. Although that police lieutenant position has been funded at the beginning of the budget year, that police lieutenant position has been unfilled for 18 months. I think it was 18 months last time we talked, so maybe it's 19 months now. And I haven't heard any complaints of the police department failing or not succeeding, because you guys are doing a great job with what you have. And I know we'd all love to have more. So would I. But you're doing a great job now. So, Chief, what's the approximate starting salary for a lieutenant position in the city?
The fringe, I think, is about 100 total salary and benefits. There are some other plans that I might bring up. It will continue to grossly affect the administrative operations, as I spoke earlier.
Chief, come down.
So, approximately $100,000
I believe.
Per-
Paula, correct me if I'm,
There's, you guys have the budget book, it's listed in your salary.
I don't have that book in front of me, unfortunately. So there's that. I spoke already several weeks ago in executive session about my feelings about the contract, what I think the best remedy is moving forward. There are still those options. We have about 2 years to continue to look at that option. With all due respect to my other department heads, I find it interesting that we are concerned about budget, and yet we're singling out one department, not the entire city.
Mayor.
Oh, can I continue?
Yeah, absolutely.
Chief, that's frustrating to hear, right? Because
It's extremely frustrating here, and if I may add something
can I
else.
continue, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The council has to start somewhere, and maybe I don't know where the right answer is, but the dispatch services is for 2 of our departments, police and fire. Are there any more departments that are immediately affected by that?
Yes. Streets, water, power, we work hand in hand with those departments all day, every day. We may get the radio call for an incident, but we call out Chris's folks to assist us with something. We get the radio call for an incident, we call out water to help us with something. Just because it's the police department that are at the main point of use of those services doesn't mean it does not affect anybody else and everybody else in the city.
So if this council has to take a step to start saving some money, which on a salary or on a personnel position, it's year after year, right? And I'm definitely not proposing to cut the position. I'm proposing to freeze the position until we have a dispatch agreement back in place, depending on the price of that contract. So if I can temporarily take $100,000 to put towards a build fund, so to speak, of a dispatch center or a new contract with another entity that could supply that service, or even the county, going down that road, all the department heads, do you guys have a position you'd like to get rid of too, to make it fair?
I don't think anybody wants to
I'd give one if I don't have one to give.
Nobody does. Right, so I really don't want to hear a lot about we all need it, because I know that's true. I know we all need a position, but where do we start? Chief?
I'll point out the dispatch agreement is something that's already budgeted for. This lieutenant's position is something that's been budgeted for. We could potentially start there. If we lose the county contract services with dispatch, we can start with the dispatch agreement. As I spoke to this body earlier, at this point, I do not have hard data as far as if we contracted with entity A, how much that would be. I've been told anecdotally it could be as little as the cost of a repeater. I don't believe that's completely accurate. I've been told it could be as expensive as building our own dispatch center. I think that's a poor use of taxpayer resources, having two dispatch centers that close in proximity to each other. Again, the operations, the money. You spoke earlier about, or one of the council members spoke earlier about words matter. They absolutely matter. That's what got my ire here with all current and future department vacancies, with no timeline, no explanation. And I'll just rip the Band-Aid off. What really aggravated me, for the record, I absolutely recognize the ability and authority of this council to put items on the agenda without my notification, without letting me know. I recognize that. That's not where I'm going. When I learned about this, that had been discussed in executive session, I learned about it not through this body, but through one of my staff members. I found that extremely unacceptable. If this council has a question, I am as transparent as anybody in this room. I will happily answer those questions. The fact that it's listed this way tells me this, words matter, this looks at all current and future department vacancies. It makes no provision for what if, retirement, resignation, firings. Makes no provision whatsoever. And to be very honest, it felt like I was stabbed in the back the way this was put on the agenda. Not the fact that the council did it on their own, because as I said, you have that authority and ability. The fact that I learned about it through one of my staff members and not this body. So forgive me if I'm a little emotional, but I try to be a little more transparent than that.
Mayor, can I speak now? I just want to point out, yes, it does specifically say police department, but then I just want to clarify, it says, and all other current and future department vacancies. So when I read this, to me, it was just like encompassing citywide, okay? Sorry if it seemed like it was just pointing only at the police department. I was looking at citywide positions. That's what was going through my head at the time. Because when I said earlier, we have potentially $100 million water treatment facility or more, maybe, a dispatch, service that might be the same. Like he said, we don't have over $200 million. We don't have it. So when I budget my own small little checkbook, if I don't have that money, I don't just start like, let's go look and see if we want to move the railroad, right? So for me personally, I'm in the mindset of just like, how can we streamline our budget as thin as possible when we have two major financial issues coming down our lane that we have to make big decisions on? Because you know what, citizens of Mountain Home, this isn't just money that comes out of air. This money isn't that just comes out of grants. This is money that you'll pay as a tax person. Your wastewater bill will potentially go up from $30 a month to potentially over $150 a month. Okay? Don't quote me on that, but it could. And I know the average citizen cannot afford that. Then you add a dispatch service, or we have to provide a dispatch service on top of that, your taxes will go up more because we have to find the money from somewhere, and it's going to come from the citizens of Mountain Home. That's where I'm at, is like, yes, where are we going to cut the fat? Where are we going to cut the fat? So, yeah, I'm sorry if it seemed like we're pointing your fingers at you.
And Councilwoman Workle, I completely appreciate the perspective.
Yeah.
It just, from the wording, words matter.
Sure.
All current and future department vacancies. It doesn't say city vacancies, anything else, that's what I looked at and that's what I saw.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
It immediately addresses the one vacancy we have. As you know, the animal control shelter also falls in the purview of the police department.
Yeah.
Does it address those vacancies as well? Since that falls under my purview, I would argue that it does.
Sure, yeah, and so where it says any current or future department vacancies, yeah, we probably should have put those on there too, right? If they are there any other ones that are open within the city?
Yeah, we had resignations today.
Yeah, 100%. Those should have, yeah, well, I guess it was today. It wouldn't have made it on the agenda. But yes, yeah. Our apologies or my apologies if it looked like we were pointing our fingers and singling out the police department. I just have to figure out where we're going to trim the fat citywide. So, yeah.
I guess I have a question for the council. So then, is it, as you read it, that all departments would have a hiring freeze?
Man,
Hang on a second, go ahead.
So if City Hall loses an employee, they resign, and we have 2 employees that go on vacation, because we're not gonna deny their vacation time, do we shut the front door because we can't service our customers? Is that the intent? Do we, as the police department, is the intent then we don't have enough police officers to respond to emergencies because we did the hiring freeze? Is that, I guess I don't understand the intent then.
Should we cut wages? You want us to do that?
Councilman Workla.
I'm sorry, should we cut wages? We got to trim it somewhere. So if we're not going to cut positions that aren't refilling people, maybe during budget season we'll cut city wages. I mean, where are we going to cut it at?
man.
Councilman Brennan.
Here's the facts. I wrote that, and I'll be honest with everybody. That's my language that I used, and I singled out the police department. I didn't single out the rest of them. That's the facts. Why did I do that? Chief, you alluded to it, right? Because we had a conversation in executive session, and the majority of us decided that this would come back on another agenda. In that conversation, we weren't talking about all city departments at that time. That was a conversation limited to the police department. And so by the rules in which we operate, I could only write an action item based on the conversation that had occurred, which was limited to the police department. But I'm glad that was brought up, because I do intend to continue down this role when with other action items in the future to freeze other positions that the council deems necessary to help save some money. And it may not be in the middle of a fiscal year. It might be at our next budget hearings going forward. If there's vacancies, maybe they're gone. And I'm not asking you, Mayor, to go fill every position last second so that we can't do that. Because I don't know how layoffs happen, but if it has to happen, I'm sure it will. And I'm not trying to threaten anybody by a layoff. I'm not saying that's happened, but this is a serious issue that we don't have answers for yet, and we're trying to plan appropriately, one small step at a time. So that's what happened. I wrote it for the police department so that we could have this conversation, as we already did, and the council agreed to hear it here in this meeting. That was my intent. That's what I meant by it. And I am sorry. Scott, do you have anything?
There. Councilman Harjo. Obviously, this is a large and challenging topic regarding dispatch services, the dissolving of that agreement from the county's perspective, reaching out to us, our staffing, both in city staff, police department. Chief, I definitely hear you, and I appreciate your feedback, Councilman Brennan, Councilwoman Workla. We have a lot of very complex things to get through over the coming weeks and months. It's honestly my hope, and I know that today is very emotionally charged. I recognize that, and we do need to make some action and move. My hope here is maybe we can run through a 30-day cool down period on this, where we ask all departments, including PD, to put the brief pause on hiring, schedule some honest to God meetings where we sit down and go through the actual choices in front of us. Some of these things have been presented to us. We could contract with another department. Some of these are on the surface easy to accomplish. Others are very, very expensive and very time consuming. I think we need a big picture. I do definitely want to keep it in the forefront of our mind that we have to save where we can, but to make this a moratorium on hiring across the board, I don't know that I'm ready to get to that moment, to that choice in this moment. I am ready to ask if the council would be willing to have a 30-day cool down on this topic here, while PD, city staff, mayor, council, we can all sit down in either an agenda item in the coming meeting or create a special session that discusses what our real possibilities are. So we can hear them, the public can hear them, we can all understand what our potential financial liability is, and as well, approach the subject of repairing the relationship with the county, going back to a dispatch agreement that works for both parties, that's fair and equitable, gets us the service level that we are asking for, and benefits the community as a whole, because this doesn't just affect us. It's a very complex scenario when you have a jagged city line and cell phones. To deliver a clean product when it comes to dispatch, in knowing where our boundaries are, what's an emergency versus a non-emergency, I don't think there are choices that we can make decision on today. And I think my ask of the council is, let's put our heads together, give ourselves 30 days to cool down on this. Chief, ask for a 30-day pause on this topic, and come together with the real facts and data on what the expenditures and the choices in front of us could be. That's my ask, and I will be very blatantly honest. My push is to restore a dispatch agreement and put this behind us. Work to rebuild that relationship and get this behind us.
And council, and this is, you are the body that you guys make the laws and the rules and stuff, so I will always, you're a first responder, Daniel. And I thank you for your service. Our chief, our policemen and women out there, that they do what they do, and I'm gonna tell this body right now, and you can be mad at me or whatever, but if you choose to freeze or hold this, I'm going to veto it, because I'm always going to back my blue, and I'm going to back all my first responders, whether it be EMS or police, fire. So that is just my opinion. I agree with you 100%. I think we can figure out the dispatch agreement. I think that's a whole workable thing. I would hate to not allow our boys and girls in blue to suffer. He's working a lot. I know he works a lot. I ask a lot of him, and I know Ty's out there doing the same thing. And to relegate more and more work, you guys gave Tiff another person because of the added stuff. You guys gave Chris or the city another person for the maintenance guy, so we could get those things accomplished what you guys wanted right now. So to me, please, let's not put a moratorium. Let's go and talk to the sheriff. I promise you this. I will call the sheriff. I'll text him. I'll try to get a meeting with him, and I will do the same with the county commissioners, and we'll have that conversation. And I will do it. I will make those calls, and I'll do it all tomorrow. If we just pump the brakes with this. So that's just my 2 cents.
Mayor.
If I may add, Mr. Mayor, I worked for an agency that I left in 2011 that enacted horrible budget cuts and layoffs. I know it's not the intent here, but for perspective, that department, after laying off, demoting, freezing positions, cutting positions, 10 years later is still trying to recover. While a freeze is not quite the same as a layoff, that department is still having a very difficult time. Outside of the fact it is in Washington, they're having a very difficult time attracting qualified applicants, and I do not want that seeing happen here with this agency.
And I will tell you, you know, our police department crushes it, you know. And we've always promoted Chief Thompson. Ty, I'm not going to be here forever. I mean, those are the people we need to groom to take those positions in a perfect world. And I know we opened it up, and it's hard to fill because we live in you know, I can go to Boise, well, not me. Chief probably go to Boise and make double what he's making here. It's hard to compete with bigger agencies, and you guys have been amazing of making sure that this police department and city staff are compensated into, we can never compare to Boise, but you guys have done a great job. This council's done a great job of making sure we've got the pay for our police department to be competitive. So with that, I'm gonna shut up. I'm sorry.
Mayor,
Hang on a second. Councilman Harjo had it first, and I'll let you go, sorry. Go ahead,
Councilman
Councilman Workla.
again, I feel like this is taken personal. Like, I'm retired military. Like, I've deployed with law enforcement. Like, I understand. I work at a school district, and I was about ready to say heck no to this MOU for this grant, because I have to be fiscally conservative on how my number one job is how are we spending the purse money, the taxpayers' money. It's not my money, it's your money. And so it's nothing personal. Gosh, all you guys, in my opinion, deserve raises and promotions and etc. I love the blue as well. But I need someone to come to me and say, this is how we're going to figure out how we're going to potentially afford this. You can have all the conversations you want with the county commissioners and the sheriff. They can still say, kiss off. Because we said we don't want to do this agreement. We put it in writing with our attorneys, and it's done. That's what I'm looking at, is what's in front of me right now. We do not have it. They put it in writing. So I guess we could grovel and kiss their feet all day long, but this is what I'm looking at, is we don't have it. $100 million potentially coming down. What are we going to do when our wastewater is at? What's that look, guys? What's that look? Am I saying something that is not right? Did you want to share something? Was it 1 million?
Well, the water treatment's
We're
100
talking
million.
water.
Yeah, okay, water treatment's 100 million. Sorry if I misspoke. Thank you. So the water treatment's over 100 million, and then 1 million for the dispatch services. So it's over 100 million. Thank you.
So the wastewater is a big one that has nothing to do with police, because remember, that's enterprise fees, it's not tax. But you're right, we have to look at that. We have a lot of assessments coming down the pike. I know that at the end of this month we're gonna have the declining balance rates and stuff like that, so we can start that process. So of moving forward in the next fiscal budget with the wastewater.
Okay.
The dispatch, we could what if this one to death. State statute says the county's responsible for dispatch, not emergency. So that's where we were paying the, I think it's what is 80 now, $85,000.
78.4.
78.4 for dispatch and for the non-emergency calls. I don't care if it's for non-emergency, just as long as we can get this back. I think this is fixable, and I think it's fixable.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
you made a comment that you'll make those phone calls tomorrow, and my request is that you unilaterally do not. That if we're gonna enter these discussions, it be the council, yourself, PD, Sheriff's Department, and the county commission as a whole, to sit down and discuss this face to face. That's what we've had very much interest in, that as a council. The county commission has voiced their opinion in having face to face discussions on big heavy topics. I think it is within your duties as the mayor. My ask is include the rest of us in that conversation, because it is a very charged topic, and there are enough smart people amongst our two bodies that we can come to an agreement. It's a matter of what those details are, and in all likelihood that ends up being the least costly choice of all of them. If I had an ask, Mayor, that's what that is.
Mayor,
So Councilman Brennan.
I would support that request, only because personality conflicts that do exist can be softened when there's more people in the room that have the opportunity to talk and give different perspectives at once. And we know what personality conflicts we're talking about, whether it's one-sided or two-sided, it doesn't matter. But I think having the full body there to help in that making requests or negotiations is important for this city, on especially on this topic. I also heard you loud and clear, Councilman Harjo, about a 30-day cooling off period, so to speak. I'll tell everybody is I'm not emotionally driven on this. I'm financially driven, and that's my job as a councilman that I was elected to do. And so a 30-day cooling off period is a 30-day freeze in one sense or another. And so with that, I am going to make a motion to freeze the vacant police lieutenant position until the council unfreezes it.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
Chief Thompson, I didn't confer with you before throwing that little suggestion out in the world.
The unilateral meetings.
No. The 30-day cool down, so we can have time to discuss what possibilities lie in front of us to restore a dispatch or create our own administratively how to deliver that as a product if we have to do it ourselves. If we were to move forward on a 30-day freeze on this, can you help me understand what the impact to the department is going to be?
If I held a process right now today, I would not be able to hire a new lieutenant, internal, external, within that 30-day period. I want the time to, especially if it's an external candidate, do a full background on that person, look at prior or past employees of their current employers. The one person from externally that is interested in applying does come with a very lengthy resume, but there are a lot of temporary assignments on his resume that I'd have to look at and consider as far as qualifications. So the shorter answer is the 30-day freeze would be nothing for this particular position, because I would be able to fill it in 30 days.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes.
So there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
one last thing. Now time is of the essence, and I'd like to ask yourself as the chief administrator, will you work with us, work with the department to get these meetings and agenda items as soon as humanly possible? We have a lot to cover, and I understand that, and it's a very trying topic, but I don't want to see this last more than that 30 days-ish. If it's enacted, I think we can start coming to some logical decisions. I do appreciate the idea of being fiscally conservative and making sure that we have money in our pocket if we have to spend here in a couple years. But if anything, I am begging you to move this forward, expedite the topic, have these discussions, whether that's special meetings, whether that's agenda items on the next, where we can talk about this in full.
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
I want to go along with that as well too. Similar to our request of the Mellon Water District coming in with regular updates, I believe this should be a regular council update. Even if it's a discussion only item, an update every single council meeting as to the progress that we've made.
Okay. So I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Mayor vetoes. Okay. Run down to action item number 6. Deliberation decision to amend City Ordinance 164F, and I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Brennan. I double booked myself for some scouts
Okay.
on accident.
Is it
Or no, sorry, Councilman Harjo. You're in charge.
Okay. Thank you. We should probably let the record reflect that Council President Scott Harjo was running. Councilman Brennan, you had presented us with some language for 1-6-4F. Would you mind giving us a brief overview of that?
Yes, Councilman Harjo, can I'm referencing city ordinance really quick. Can we take a quick pause or a quick recess so I can get the appropriate
Yes.
answers taken?
Let the record reflect, we'll take a 3-minute recess. 6:50 p.m.
Congratulations. I feel like this happened. Did you have last?
Paul, can I converse with you in the back, probably?
As long as I get a bathroom break too.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I did not mean to slam
I
that.
was gonna say,
It's a real light door, apparently.
I do that to that one a lot. I'm like, sorry. I do the same thing, you open the door, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if that one's open, I mean, I'll just hit that.
I mean, and that's human nature, right?
That's me, right?
Like, if you back to a corner, it's okay. Like, the thing is, I would rather deal with it with, like, structure intact and show them, like, hey, I'm on your side. But, like, city leadership has choices to make, and we don't have the information to make choices in this moment. But to get the that's gonna be the case for I just instructed city staff.
Is that speculation?
And it is not the first time. I think we'll get through it.
Of course, people hear it. Make sure we get through it. I hate to say that, but if something's like hanging over me, you're like,
The dispatch thing, like, all three of them said that it was fixable. It's just, we gotta get down to the brass tacks of how to fix it, and we'll see what that entails when the time comes. I don't know if that's more money. I don't know if there's a promise of headcount or funding headcount.
and then there was one. Oh, really? Oh, man, this has been a night. Jeez, my head. I was a very busy day at work too, and as I'm driving here, I was like, my head's spinning. Like, I just had so much going on in my head, and I knew this was a big agenda. I'm just like,
That's the vertigo you get to climb on the
Oh, yeah. Oh, already retired. Dang it, missed that one. Oh. Anyway.
Feels like a plumbing. It's not. It's on. It's technically challenging.
Shasta, I watched the video. Thanks, nice. Oh, that was so. You did such a great job too. Yeah. And I was thinking about libraries when I was young. They weren't fun. They were like,
Well, and you were asking me about that as far as like my history in libraries, and I remember, we didn't even have our own library. We shared it with the high school, and I can remember a definitive line. This was the high school library, this was the community library.
yeah,
No kidding.
yeah. No, very good, Shasta.
Okay, we have all returned. Tiff, are we ready to reconvene?
Yep.
Can we close that door?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Okay, we are back on the record at 6:56 p.m. I believe it's appropriate to probably take the roll in this moment. Tiff, would you make the call for roll?
Councilwoman Workla,
Present.
Councilman Harjo,
Present?
Councilman Brennan,
Present.
Councilwoman Garvey,
Absent.
Mayor Sykes.
Absent.
And Mayor Sykes is absent. Please let the record reflect that we have a quorum returning out of recess.
Councilman Harjo.
Councilman Brennan.
Before we take up the next agenda item, may I make some comments for the one that I guess whether it's wrapped up or not.
Please.
In referencing City Ordinance 1511, it is my opinion that the mayor does not have the authority to override to veto the vote that was just taken. It is not an ordinance that we just enacted. It is a unknown momentary time of financial savings, so to speak. 1511 states the mayor shall have the power to veto or sign any ordinance passed by the council. And if he does, 3 of us can override the veto. Paul, can I get your take on that?
Yes, so the language specific in this corresponds to Robert's Rules of Order, corresponds to state code, but the mayor generally, not our mayor, any mayor, does not generally possess veto powers. Our code, which I have to admit was a surprise to me that 1511 even exists. However, even by the plain terms of this, it says the mayor shall have the power to veto an ordinance passed by the council. Well, that wasn't an ordinance that you just passed. It was actually more of a budgetary type issue. And so because of that, and it's a little bit of semantics, because either it doesn't fit within the purview of 1511 because it wasn't an ordinance, or quite frankly, there's the 3 of you right here and you just all voted unanimously to support it. So whether it's 1/2 plus 1 of the city council to override it, or whether it's that the power isn't there to veto it, the result is the same. However, I'm not going to ask you guys to take another vote to override the mayor's veto on that, because again, it isn't an ordinance, so it doesn't apply by the language of this ordinance, which is consistent with state code and Robert's Rules of Order.
And for final clarification, is it safe to say on the record that the council's vote stands?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will take up new business action item number 6, deliberation and decision to amend City Ordinance 1-6-4F, City Council agendas. Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Councilman Harjo. I put in front of each of you the language I'd like to adopt in this. There's a font in red. This is, I think we chased after this before and kind of fell short. City Ordinance 164 subsection F I would like it to read, City Council agendas. As the presiding administrative official, the mayor shall determine the agenda of all regular meetings and any special meeting. Adding, however, any council member shall have the authority to add actionable and discussion items to any agenda. Continuing where it already, the already existing language, 1/2 plus 1 of the members of the full city council shall have the authority, I think it says power, I changed that to authority, to amend any agenda as provided by law. The city council shall determine the agenda for any special meeting initiated pursuant to Idaho Code 50-706. The agenda may consist of the following, but not necessarily in the following order, and where it leaves off there. So really it's adding one sentence that any council member unilaterally can add to our agenda. I want to tell you why, for this much reduced crowd size that we have here. For the city residents in the room, I don't know who you voted for, and at this point it doesn't matter. We're here, we got elected by the majority, and if you voted for one of us, you voted for us because you think we'll do the right thing, right? And we don't always agree. I've said that 100 times, and that's perfectly okay. But I believe you elected me to be able to make a difference. And if I can't add anything to the agenda for even just for discussion, not for a guaranteed vote to pass, but to put something on the agenda. If I can't do that, what am I here for, right? Sure, there's other things I'm here for. Don't take that the wrong way. But each one of us is independently elected to represent the constituents, and to add this sentence helps ensure that we can talk about the things that are important to us and that are important to our constituents without having to get permission. Because what we've been doing lately, by the way it was written, is it took 3 of us to add to the agenda. Well, I promised, right? I don't care what either of these two want to add to the agenda. I could care less. I will support it every time. Every time. Because they have the right to talk about and get a vote, whether it's good or bad, on any item that they want to. And it's time for this to happen.
President?
Yes.
I can only tell you that in 2023, we added the language that is currently there, that 1/2 plus 1 members of the city council shall have the power to add blah, blah, blah. And technically that isn't in state code. The only thing that is in state code was 50-706, which you guys know what that one is, where you could create your own item. So the question at the time in 2023 was, can legally we do that? And so my analysis of it was, because it's not in direct conflict with any state statute, I would perceive that you probably could. The problem with what you have here now is, and you've heard me say this a billion times, so I'm not, is even in a meeting, at the beginning of the meeting, is I would like to add this item to the agenda. I make a motion. What do you have to have? You have to have a second, and you have to have to vote on it. So that means even in the meeting, you can't do it. A single council member couldn't do that.
We also have to have a declared emergency to add at the start of a meeting, right? Because it does, yeah.
But it's still, so you guys know the answer to this question. A single council member doesn't exist legally. Like, you operate as a body. And so that's why, and I don't perceive it to be an open meetings violation whatsoever to say, hey, I would like to put this on the agenda for, Tuesday. So long as you don't discuss it, which we've talked about. You just feel like, yeah, sure. That's a procedural thing, saying we're going to do this on Tuesday. Is there any objection to that? And that could occur prior to, as opposed to literally waiting to the beginning of the meeting. So my analysis of that was, if you're allowed to make a motion at the beginning of the meeting to amend the agenda, well, then why the frick shouldn't you be able to do that a couple days beforehand and say, hey, I'd like to have this on the agenda, is that okay? And then the two of you say, sure. That's you acting as the legal body that you are, which is a city council. An individual city council member just doesn't exist legally. And so I'm pretty sure that does run afoul of state statute, directly. Just,
President?
I mean, I know that, I understand what your goal and objective is, and I agree with it. That's why that's why I made the amendment in 2023 to formally say you guys could do that. But again, it has to be, because what happens if you want to do something and 3 council members are like, well, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want that on the agenda. So that means 1 council member can technically hold everybody hostage on it to do that. And I just don't think that 1 council member has that power. Now, you guys always agree, and I love the statement you just said, saying, if you want to hear something, no problem. But it doesn't, there might be future city council members, they may, quite frankly, go a little rogue. And so, but that's why the law is the way it is.
And Paul, with that though, the latter part of that says that the majority, 1/2 plus 1, can make an amendment. So if I add something and they don't want to hear it, it doesn't require an emergency to remove it from the agenda before it starts, right? Or to just simply table it, or to make a motion to table it indefinitely. So I don't.
I'm not following.
If I unilaterally, as 1 council member, add something to the agenda, you talked about I could hold the council hostage by them hearing.
Personally, I said a council
Sure,
member,
by,
like
by having all these discussions that they want nothing to do with, right? So, come the start of the meeting, it's okay to take things off the agenda without declaring an emergency. And,
Right.
and we can do that with a majority, with 1/2 plus 1, at any time.
So if you have the authority to remove something in the agenda, but only if it's 1/2 plus 1, why would it be the reverse not be true? I'm just saying.
Trying to track what you're saying there. Why 1 on the front end
It
and
comes back to the very same maxim.
and not on the back
city
end.
council member is a body, is an entity.
Right.
1 council member, again, and I'm not meaning to, like, it just is. It's 1 council member doesn't exist. It just doesn't.
Councilwoman Orko?
Yeah, so in the past, though, like at final comments, I'll be like, hey, I would like to see this on the future agenda on this day, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes I do remember saying, do you want this on there? Do you want this on? And then I think other times there wasn't that, asking. So where does that lie?
As opposed to asking, and the 3 council members next to you don't answer it. The quote ask, I'm assuming, is coming to the mayor at that point, who is, the 4 of you are a single legal entity. The chief executive is also a single legal entity, by the letter of the law. And so the quote ask is, I suppose you're in essence asking the chief executive, which presides over the meeting. And so, by the letter of the law, the mayor always, every mayor presides over their agendas. And so the quote ask is, let's say the mayor says, well, I don't want that on. And then the 3 of you, or 4 of you, whatever, then say, no, we do want it on. There is a provision, which is 7506 or something like that. No, that's not right. 5706. That says you can override that. And then I added in 2023 saying, let's just not go there. If 1/2 plus 1 wants it, but we're going to do it. But 1 by itself, there's no legal mechanism to do that.
And who's back to, I forget which topic it was, but you said it might not match exactly, but who's harmed by this? It was the video recording, right? Who's harmed by 1 council member adding something?
Well, now you're taking my words. As far as a member of the public who would claim to be harmed by not having, notice of something or other, sometimes that is a lens that I look through on that. No one is harmed by that, technically, but you don't have a legal mechanism to get there. You could ignore my advice and pass it, but I don't think it has legal grounds.
What does that mean? What's the negative effect? What is, I know it doesn't have legal grounds means, but what is the effect of that?
I'm not going to go too deep on this, but in any legal action that you wish to file against, so let's say a citizen wishes to file a lawsuit against the city, or a citizen wishes to file a lawsuit against his neighbor. No matter what it is, in order to open the courthouse doors, there has to be what is defined as I can never say this word, justiciable case or controversy. And the first element of a justiciable case or controversy is standing. And so one does not have standing unless you are, quote unquote, actually harmed by virtue of whatever the conduct is. So if somebody passes a subdivision, let's say, and you're the next door neighbor, you have standing, because depending on there's more, you're, as a neighbor, a high dense subdivision next door to your farm could be impacted by that, right? But if you live across town and you have nothing to do with this, do you have standing to bring an action based upon the substantive issues raised as to whether this subdivision should be? The answer is you don't. Now, flip that and make it a procedural. Do you have the right to be able to say, I don't think this should happen because of X, Y, and Z, and because there was defective notice and you didn't know you could be there? So that's procedural due process. That you do have the right for. So that is a, quote, actual harm or detriment to a fundamental right, due process being the number one on the top of the list, life, liberty, all that. So that's what the actual harm means. And so when I said no one is actually harmed, if you're here and the recording was defective and so this thing wasn't recorded well, you couldn't bring an action against the city council or against the city because of the audio recording didn't work, because you were there. Now somebody that wasn't there and now couldn't listen to it, they would have an action. And so that person is harmed. See the...
I understand the examples.
I'm so glad that there are this few people here, because I would have lost half of them if they would have just walked right out going, oh my God, the lawyer's talking again.
What's the actionable cause for this?
So the actionable cause is, it would present itself at a later time, that if whatever you brought to the table, so you say that we should no longer sell widgets in town, and you on your own unilaterally say, I'd like this to be on the agenda, and it's placed on the agenda, and then this widget maker would be harmed by virtue of that, because you did it without due process. The same way that if he didn't have legal notice by the posting of the sign out by the property, and then it was in the paper and it was, all that stuff. If he wasn't at the hearing because of it, he was denied due process.
So even
if you did not have grounds to place it on the agenda because a single city council member does not have that power. We're getting deep in the weeds as to the harm thing. I don't think you need to go there. It's just anything we do, there has to be what is called enabling legislation to do it.
Sure.
Anything we do. And there is no such enabling jurisdiction, enabling statutory authority.
I'm pretty passionate about this, you can tell, right? So I do want to get the
clarification. I don't want to be the no guy. I hate being the no guy.
Well, you were just the no guy, kind of yes guy here just a minute ago, so I appreciate it. Yeah.
Tell it like it is.
I don't hold it against you. I want to understand it, and we're here getting legal advice. So if we do it, it's probably not gonna happen. Whatever. If it happens, right, and it ends up in due time, and it ends up on the agenda, is the widget maker still harmed?
Yeah, can be.
Okay.
It could be. You can make it.
Because the item wasn't added by statute correctly.
By legitimate means.
You're not a governing body unless there's a majority of you. Sorry, President.
I feel like there's a way around it. Let me ask about a meet in the middle here. Can the city clerk accept one written notice from me that says always? I always will support every one of their requests.
Well, I already know that.
Well, you didn't act on it that way. You said you didn't remember, and I had to go through the email process
The
again.
request came in a session that the item shouldn't, it wasn't discussed, and I didn't get everybody on it, and I told you that. And to be quite frank, I'm not sure I understand how hard the process is to send the email. Several of you do it, and it all gets on there. This meeting itself had 2 by Councilman Arja.
Right. I was frustrated, right? You know that. I voiced that to you, is that I know good dang well that there was a majority that said, let's get this out of this meeting and into the next meeting. I know that happened. But then you don't remember that. And so,
I followed up with 3 other members, and they remember very cloudy of that conversation in there as well. So I didn't just go rogue on my own and say, hey, this is, I could tell you, I believe you had a discussion, but it wasn't an item to be discussed in that matter, and it was budgetary. And I expressed all that to you.
I can tell you for as long as I've been the city attorney, and then if this, what I'm about to say, if it's not true, I would like to know forward as we move forward. I'm not aware of a single instance where one council member wanted something on the agenda and it wasn't, like, it would not be permitted to be on the agenda or something. And if it does happen, I would like to know. And I'd like to know what the subject is, and then why, the basis for why it wasn't put on the agenda. Because then easily we could just do a 5706 or 5 or whatever that is and put it on anyway, in that regard. And then, like I said, the addition that I made in 2023 empowers that. So
is 5706 for our agenda, or is it for a whole new meeting?
technically it's a whole new meeting,
Right.
your own meeting.
Okay.
But what I added in 2023 is for the the agenda for the meeting, our meeting.
Okay. I'll come
We
back.
did one 5706, if you recall, several years back.
We did, yeah. And I didn't get my question answered, but I'll come back to it later. Go ahead.
It's clear at this juncture that we have no real effective mechanism to ensure that what we make requests for makes it through what seems like a trivial process on the surface is actually enacted on agendas in a timely manner. I have examples of that, and I can go over those offline. It is difficult when there is no finite procedure, and things do get lost in the fray of conversation. Emails get lost, set aside, not followed up on, those kind of things. We're all human, right? I have not been the most timely in responding to a handful of emails, so like I'm included in this. This ordinance seeks to ease the system of which the elected official body can deliberate something. If I bring something forward that is trivial or ludicrous or unnecessary as an ordinance, the remainder of the body has that right in that meeting to go, this is hogwash, and we're gonna deny it, and that's fine, right? That is the process working. The process before we convene as a governing body, and I 100% hear you that we are not individual. A council person does not exist, but that leverage is difficult to deal with at times when it comes to me requesting something. I'll speak for myself. When I request something or send an email that says, hey, I'd like to have this as a discussion item, and here's the reasoning behind that, I think it has merit. And up until recently, I've developed my own system for the lack of a system to create formality in these email strings to put some structure to it, so they don't get lost on my part. But I will tell you that even that becomes me chasing my tail to ensure that that thing occurs. I tend not to say things that I wouldn't say to anybody directly. And I wish the mayor was here for this, because this is a topic that needs to be discussed with him. And part of me wants to hit pause on this and bring it back at the next regular meeting, but I
You'd
don't
have to anyway, just
Really?
because of the waiving the 3 reading rule.
Sure, as a matter of discussion, because there are topics that need to be discussed like this with our chief administrator, and this isn't a slight against city staff. It's not a slight against the mayor. We are on very different wavelengths when it comes to this process, and I do not want to lose sight of this one, but also I don't want to lose sight of all the other dozens of topics behind all of this. I have a list on this computer, 70 topics long, of things that I want to bring up and I want to get moving forward on, and I meter those out
You know you're
by
not elected
what.
for life, right?
So I'm trying to get things
That's why
done
he's trying to get
now.
him down now.
And it is frustrating from my perspective. I don't know how the others. I can assume how the others feel, but there are times where my requests go with radio silence, and that is difficult when even the topics are either administrative or purely procedural. So I do feel like there is a necessary need for this. Councilman Brennan, you brought this one forward, and I do not want to lose sight of this. Would you be willing to hold off on this until the next regular meeting so we can discuss, hopefully, as if Councilwoman Garvey can make that one, if the mayor can make that one, that we deal with this as a 5-person?
Absolutely, because we do have a crappy process in place right now, but it's working for the most part.
And I could tell you that I'm trying to pull what my answer is to you from multiple statutory sources. There is not anything that's in the code that directly says council members cannot initiate an agenda item. So I'm just giving you reading in conjunction all the different statutes that are there.
Sure.
And that's just, I mean, and your point's well taken. Who is harmed by it? You have to get pretty far down the road before I could find anybody who would be harmed by it.
Sure, thank you.
Because the thing with the widget maker also, I'll say, is one council member unlawfully adds an agenda item. Well, but later on, if it's a 3-to-1 vote in favor of it, the 3 have now, it was the full body of the council that acted to deprive the widget maker of whatever. So I don't see how there's much harm in any of this. I'm just telling you what the law is.
Appreciate
That's how
it.
I interpret it.
Councilwoman Buckley.
Yeah, so this is great because we're opening up the dialogue of the conversation in an open meeting. And so I 100% support now thinking about what we all said and see if we can come back together with a product moving forward, because I think your main idea is spot on. I support it 100%. We just got to figure out how it would make sense legally. So I will make a motion to table this action item to amend City Ordinance 1-6-4F for City Council agendas until the next meeting.
Point of clarification, do you want it to come back with the proper, an ordinance of the City of Mountain Home, blah, 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 so that in case you do want to try to pass this, it's ready?
Councilman Brennan.
Can I come back to my question? Is there any other internal workaround that's not codified by ordinance, whether it's a resolution or a standing personnel policy that says the exact same thing, essentially? Can I give a letter to Tiffany that says, I support Councilman Harjo's request indefinitely, or something? Would that wiggle around and still be bad or good, or what?
Because it's only procedural in nature, and it's valid until revoked. So in case there's something that you really don't want to have air, whatever it is, you can revoke it. No, I don't see a problem with, the things if you want to know what's going through my brain, is predetermination, not adhering to the ordinance as it's currently written, which requires 1/2 + 1. But I suppose if you provided to Tiffany saying if any council member would like something on the agenda, you already have my vote saying, yeah, I'm never gonna say no, ever. And then the rest of you do that too, then, but it still requires conformance with whatever the current way it's written of the 1/2 + 1. But I guess that
And
email,
if all three of us do that, then you've got that.
which is substantively no different than, I'd like to have his system of, I'd like to have this on the agenda, and you say that's fine with me. I guess you're just doing it preemptively. Yeah, I guess I can't tell you couldn't do that.
You can't tell me we can't. So you're saying that would pass muster.
It's strange, muster, but it would pass muster. I can't think of a legal prohibition of it.
Perfect. I'll still table it for sure. I just wanted to get that answered.
And to answer,
Councilwoman Workle.
yeah, thank you. And to answer your question, right? Because you asked me a question on my motion. Did you?
Oh, I did, yeah. I
Okay.
said, do you want it back on the, this in legal form?
I don't know how to write it in legal.
Right, and
Not
so
necessary.
I think this should just be a conversation 2.0, right? Yeah, like let's just gather our thoughts, do our own research, and then just bring it back together as a body.
I would agree with that. I don't know that we're ready for official language, but the topic should persist. I'd like to see that on the agenda for February 28th.
January.
Excuse me, January 28th. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Looking forward to it, huh? Was there a second?
So there was a motion.
Was that whose
So I made the motion. I
Yeah.
think he added the
Just-
exact date, so we just need to.
Yeah, I'll second that exact date in the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Councilman Brennan,
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla,
Aye.
and myself as an aye. Okay, we will go down. I guess that was the last of our action items. Final comments.
President.
Councilwoman Workla.
Okay, I just want to put this on record. That's all. I want to reiterate from December 10th meeting that I support Terry Hill and Terry Scanlon having the discussion with city staff regarding Elmore County's Snake River water right application. Just put that on record.
Understood. Councilman Brennan.
Councilman Harjo, I like that. Standing up for the conversation that we had, and I like it too. And I support the work that they're doing, the conversations that they've had with us, and I request future meetings with them. And I in no way want the city to get in the way of the county's water project. I want to be a part of it as city elected leaders, but I don't want to get in the way of it by any means.
Thank you. I will mirror that sentiment across the board. My interest was very clear in that meeting, to have council, administration, public works stay interested, stay active in the discussion with zero commitment of funding or resource at this time while we maintain our interest in their application. I have a couple things to add. One of them harkens back to an earlier discussion from tonight. I'd really like to see an action plan regarding those dispatch services. Preliminary ideas, cost estimates, personnel. This is above and beyond and outside of our current budget and was unforeseen. We do have to work fast, but we have a little bit of time. And I look forward to those conversations as soon as possible. Lastly, I think this is primarily for the mayor, but I'll state it here as well. I had emailed Tiff and the mayor regarding the Treasure Valley Transit bus stop thing. Do we have any progress on that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilman. It's actually at the very front of my packet, but
Oh, sorry.
it's like clear at the bottom now, so I won't flip it over. I reached out to to Treasure Valley Transit specific on the old Desert Sage building, And they have that because of its parking lot vacancy, and they keep that route.
Okay.
They do, though, drop off to the current building if the passengers on the transit want to go there. They'll automatically make that stop. They have no problem with that.
Okay.
So I did reach out to them. I'm sorry I didn't forward that to you. I heard back from them. And they would go to the food distribution as well. So I was working, I was gonna go with Nicole on the calendar year. They would actually travel, if it's not outside of like a 2.5 to 3 mile radius, to alternative stops. So I can get you that information.
Thank you. That's great. For some context, a young lady that works at Desert Sage had pulled me aside at one of our community events and mentioned, as the community coordinator, she's noticing that Treasure Valley Transit isn't stopping on their normal route at the new Desert Sage location, but the old Desert Sage location. So I think this is a good gap bridging measure for the moment. Perhaps when it's time that they come back before the body, we can kind of promise to remember for ourselves that maybe we can ask for that to be a more permanent stop, as Desert Sage is critical to the community and public health. So I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you. Staff, do you guys have anything else for tonight? Councilman Brennan?
Yeah, to all city staff, like I want you to understand what happened here tonight on the freezing position and all that is not personal by any means. It is nothing more than myself trying to do the best job looking into the future that I can do. And I welcome each and every one of you to come to me with ideas on how to save money, how to put it aside, maybe where to cut, where to be extra cautious in our next budget cycle so that it doesn't have to hurt so bad, or maybe it hurts equally, or whatever the case is. It's not personal, and just know we're all trying to do our best to have that forethought.
President?
Councilwoman Worklow.
I want to piggyback that. I know I feel like I get cagey, and I'm so sorry, but I am just everything you said is spot on. I am so scared of a huge increase of tax rate on our citizens when I know our citizens are struggling even right now at this current time. So I see it every day in my current profession. So I just, oh gosh, yes, I just want to make sure that we're being extremely smart. It's hard decisions, right? These are very hard decisions, but I just want to make sure we're being very smart with the budget and moving forward with these potential big projects coming down the line. So yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you both. If there's nothing further, Councilman Brennan?
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
To enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206 subsections 1, B, D, and F.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Worklow?
Aye.
And myself as aye. And we will enter executive session at 7:33 p.m.
Just wanted to tell you, thank you for balancing a checkbook.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry.
Because we all sit out here and say, we write our checks out. If there's no money, you don't spend the money, you know, so thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for your.
Thanks, Shasta.
You
Have a
bet.
good one.
We all appreciate
Bye,
it.
Shasta. Have a
Thank
good
you for your
night.
time.
Anita,
Yes, ma'am.
did Mr. Harlan's wife get a hold of you?
Yes.
Okay,
We've got that all straightened out.
perfect. Okay,
Yep.
I appreciate that. So.
Yeah, she was very notified.
Okay, no worries, man.
So it was a tail end.
Yes, sir.
It's like, it just got out.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I said.
What's that?
She'll be with us. It sounds like.
Just remember, Dudley doesn't have standing because he's always here.
No, I wanted to say it might be recorded.
It's good. Yeah.
The one at Big, yeah, or at Cedar, yeah. Mm-mm. No, just on date I did, but I still have to, yeah.
I'll let you make that.
Okay, good night, everybody.
I don't think so.
Okay. Chief, thank you. Can we, I think we're all set, yeah.
This is still streaming.
Okay.
I don't know, is Nikki in there?
What's that?
Is Nikki in there?
So as soon as
Chris, would you mind helping us tackle that one? Uh-oh.
Shut it all off.
Yeah, I will.
I know the Chris way, he's just gonna unplug it.
Power cycles.
Don't just turn the screen off.
Well, that's how I fix things. I just plug it back in the wall.
I don't know.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for the entertainment.
Yeah.
Oh.